Silence.
To do better. Never.
Silence. All right, let's get this over with. Jeez.
Ouch.
Oh, I thought you loved us. He left us. He left us. What's that from? You guys know?
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, AJ just like sang Jurassic Park for the last
Hour.
25 minutes in our class.
When people ask me like, "Oh, how's the Robotpencil mentorship?" I'd be like, "Yeah, he just sang Jurassic Park for like 2 hours, and that's it."
Some pretty cool sound effects.
All right, sorry. Questions?
I don't know if anyone wants to ask. I'm just gonna wait till the end because I always ask.
I know. Let's hold off just for a couple moments. Just a couple moments. What?
I have a question, but I don't have it fully thought out yet. So
What? All right,
I don't
just
know how
take
to
your time.
explain.
Just take your
So
time.
when we were speaking about places to work and like
ma'am.
how to think about it,
Mhm.
I've been trying to think about it, and it's like there isn't like when I think of like a place to work at or like a place that I may enjoy working at, usually I am thinking about it in a way that's like how do they, well, for a game company it would usually be like, well, how do they work, like how are they with their community, like do they treat their community good, or like what are some things there that look
What do you mean
like
they treat
it
the
would be
community
fun
good?
okay, for example, like old school RuneScape, they will they are very in touch with the player base, so it's like players
that community.
Yeah. So like how in touch they are with the game and what's going on, compared to like there are times where like if I play League, there are things that are like, why did they do that? That doesn't make any sense. And then I find out they don't play the game. So it's kind of like, eek. And it's when I think that's when I'm thinking about it job wise. But when I think about the job, I'm not really thinking about what I would enjoy doing at the job, because well, outside of like, yeah, I'm going to be drawing, but it's like, do I enjoy the game enough to be like, and the community enough to be like, oh, there are parts here that I enjoy, there are parts here that I enjoy. There's going to be a lot of that, and I think when I get into a job, since it would be my first official art job, I don't think I would be the head or be the main person to be something's going to be in the game. I think I would be doing something like smaller, and then it would be moved up to someone higher up. I think about it as how like my tech jobs were. So it's just like, when I think of big companies, I don't think of something that's like, this is my forever home, or this is a home that I'm going to be there for a really long time. It's more of a, what can I learn from here, then move to the next one, and then move to the next one, because that I'm just thinking about experience at that point. And then when I have enough experience, that's when it's like, all right, out of whatever I worked at, or I will get to figure out where I would like to work exactly, which is why I felt weird about talking about it last class, because it's like I tried thinking about it in a whole different way that was like, what do I like doing? And then it's like, well, I like this, and I like this game, and I like these parts of it. And when I look at the game as a whole, it's like it wouldn't matter where I am placed because I enjoy each and every part of that area because it really draws me in. But I only think about it as experience, not as a what do I want to do for the rest of my life kind of drawing thing, because I don't think I have enough experience to even say what I want to do as career wise, because I have not gotten to experience anything for me to like solidify. Yeah, I don't really like doing that. I want to do this instead. That wasn't a question. I have no idea where I'm going.
So that's all reasonable. There's nothing wrong with that sentiment. The problem is not about that. The problem is that nobody's saying that you need to have it all figured out right away. What I'm saying is you have to have something figured out. So for instance, if you don't know where you wanted to work, you're like, I don't know, can work there, whatever. If you're just saying, I just want to get experience there, like that's not actionable. You know what I mean? And it's not even an actionable thing where it may actually help you in the long term. You know? So everything you just explained to me seemed reasonable, but what studio would you start at? Where studio would you get that experience at? That's really where I think that comes from whenever I say you should pick a studio, because you may very well work it right and you may very well hate it. Right? But that experience will be vital because it was leaning in on a skill or a set of skills that you wanted to learn, and you learned them, and you realize in that environment you don't like doing it. You know what I mean? That's really powerful wisdom. That's all I'm asking you to try to do. That's all. You know? But if you don't have anywhere you want to start and you just jump into any old job and get any old experience, it might not help you. It's like, think of it like this. Like, you want to be a dentist. Would you then go learn how to be a plumber? And is that gonna give you, right? Like, it has to have some focus. That's all, right? You may, or like, let me use a better example. Let's say you want to be a doctor. That's even better because there's so much more opportunities there, right? And then you just go become a dentist, right? Because you just quote unquote want to be a doctor. You don't know what kind of doctor. You just want to do doctoring, right? And you do dentistry and you realize, I don't know if this is at all what I wanted to do. And then you try to be a orthodontist. And then you try to be a pediatric doctor. And then you try to be a neurosurgeon or a neurologist, right? Do you see the problem? Like, it's too wild, right? And each one of those things respectfully takes a long time to get good at. Make sense? So, but let's say you want to be a pediatric doctor, but maybe you don't know exactly the kind of pediatric doctor you want to be, right? So maybe you start off getting a job at like a boys and girls club. So you're working with kids. So do you see like how kids are? Like, see how that is. Oh, you know what? I like dealing with the kids when it came to the psychology of it. So maybe I'll be more of like a family therapist. So then you go do that and you're like, oh, you know what? I like dealing with the kids on the scientific aspects of psychology, right? So then you go into neurology in the pediatrics field. But do you see how that's like a path, even as windy as it is, towards like a general ultimate goal? Yeah?
Okay.
Versus just like wilding out, man. And just like, I'm just going to do it all. Like, you see how that's too crazy and it's going to lead you down too many windy roads. And what ends up happening is you never really get good at anything, you know? Where one is like, it can still steer you in one direction over another, you know what I mean? But you're leading towards a more powerful direction. So for instance, when I went to college, I wanted to work in video games. It was super general, right? And had no focus. Very much the thing I'm trying to tell you not to do. Yeah. And then I did that, but then I saw that you can do art, and I was like, that looks tight. I'm going to do that. All right. And then I did art, And then I was like, I want to do character art because that looks way more interesting. And that's when I started to really become more focused, you know? And I was like, okay, I want to be a concept artist for character, like, and doing character art. And then I was like, and then the character art that I'm going to do is going to be mostly hyper stylized realism. You know what I mean? You could see the path starting to be visible. And I was like, I want to work for Blizzard Cinematics. And that's when I became super specific. And I very much did work for Blizzard Cinematics and left, you know? But I loved it. It was very much what I wanted to do. But there was something else that led me out of there, you know? Had nothing to do with the actual work that I did. I actually love the work that I did there. It's some of the most proudest work that I've ever done, you know? But there's clearly something deeper. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to help you solve, right? I'm not trying to say you have it all figured out. I'm saying have more focus, homie. So saying you want to work at right doesn't mean that that's going to be your final destination.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
It just means that you might find an adjacent skill set that you truly love. Because what ended up happening for me specifically is that I became an art instructor. And that is by far one of my favorite things that I've got out of what I've done in my career, is to teach people like you. You know? And so I probably would have never done that if I didn't discover this first, you know? Like it wasn't like, oh, you know, okay, I'm gonna go to art school and I'm gonna learn I'm gonna change my feelings halfway through, you know, and then do this. And then after I change my feelings, I'm gonna change my feelings again. And once I do that, I'm going to then, you know, become a person who works here. And once I work there for X years, I'm going to work here for X years. And after I work there for X years, then I'm going to start teaching people how to do it. And once I start teaching people, you know, then I'm going to start making my own games, learn programming, you know. It was never like I had it all figured out. I was talking to one of my students who was saying, like, you know, I've been reading this book about having a 5-year plan. And I was like, that kind of stuff's bullshit. Like, so many things change, you know, in 5 years. I mean, look at this fucking year alone. So much changed in just a few months. It's like impossible to see yourself in that far in the future. It's better to look like, I don't know, like a few years, like have a 2-year plan, 3-year plan, you know, and then readjust after that. Right. But my point is that I didn't have any of this stuff figured out. That's all I'm getting at, you know? And what I'm teaching you is hindsight, not foresight that I had. I didn't have the foresight. I learned it after the fact. Okay. And then I only have more evidence because I've seen a lot of my friends and students run into the same problem. And the people who suffer the most are the ones who don't realize this. Okay. And it's very sad. It's very, very sad to see when people don't focus and then they try to like acclimate where they're at and they get really depressed after like several years have gone by. You know what I mean? I don't want that to happen to my students. That's why I teach them not to do this. You know?
Yeah.
So hopefully that clears it up for you. Yeah, it's not as simple, man. I can't just say, yeah, just fucking figure it out. Duh. I'm just telling you the consequences of it as well as the strategy behind why you want to avoid those consequences.
Okay.
All right. Chase your dreams. Follow your heart. That's the moral of the story. All right. Sorry. Any other questions?
I have a question, but it's I don't know if anyone else has like a question that they want to ask that's related to like art or.
No, go ahead.
Because I wanted to see what your thoughts were on. I don't know if you saw the Sony conference, like the games they were showing off, and like, are you excited for to see any of those games? And I guess how do you feel about how the like the artwork or the how do I say this? Because like the whole new engine thing, I feel like gave they were showing off some of it during that whole thing, especially with like the Ratchet and Clank gameplay, because they were like transitioning from like one environment to the next. Like it looked very
Plus,
fluid.
it looked like a Pixar film, right? Like it just
Yeah.
didn't even look like a video game.
Yeah, and it was like going, everything was hectic, like the worlds were like, there was so much stuff going on.
So cinematic, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh man, this looks like they I feel like they hit kind of that like milestone where they're like showing off that type of stuff. So I was curious if like what do you think about that?
It's all good, man. I like it. I mean, Sony always seems to be doing really good when it comes to showcasing their games. I know a lot of people too were like, some of these games don't look like high def, and then they forget that that's not the only thing that's showcased at these conferences. I think too, people are just spoiled.
I guess.
Yeah, I think people are spoiled. They just they expect more. But I think Sony did great though. I think most people had a really positive reaction. But I also think what's happening is that I think people are also just kind of like, I think a lot of people were pretty excited, but there's still like polarizing positions. Here, let me see. YouTube.com PS5 reveal. Oh, my phone is blowing up, dude.
Because I saw all the memes on the whole like how the PS5 looks, and I'm like, it looks really nice. I don't know why.
Yeah. So I mean, a good metric too is like stuff like this, like the like and dislike ratio. Seems like most people liked it. Oh, here you go, PlayStation 12 million. Yeah, so this is pretty good ratio. And 12 million people. Almost 500,000 of them loved it. I don't read comments because that's where the scum of the earth live. Let's look at, what is it? Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah. There was also a new game called Kenna, I think. That one also looked very cinematic. It was
So this one has 2.4 million. Yeah, this one even has an even better ratio. People are probably like myself, lost their goddamn minds. 4K, dude.
Hell yeah.
Insomniac Games, probably by far one of my favorite game studios. Looks to me that they're leveraging the PlayStation's power. Oh man, I can't even. YouTube can't even continue.
Yeah.
I don't know
Look
if
at
you
all that
saw
foliage, dude. That's
Anthony.
crazy.
Look at all the detail.
I think Kalen on his Twitter said that he did the clouds for that game.
Not for this game, for a different game.
Oh, sorry. I thought this was a compilation that you had on the screen. My bad.
That's so cool.
But it's like it's so seamlessly. Like I couldn't. There were instances where I felt like, is this like a cinematic, or is it like actual gameplay?
It's gameplay for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. My feelings are the same though. I don't really care. No, seriously. Like, I love video games. If there's one that I really like, I'll buy it. If I don't, I don't say anything. Just stay out there. A lot of people have opinions on what they don't like, and I'm like,
yeah,
nobody cares about your opinion, bro. And so it's like, no, seriously, like, why? Yeah. Why tell people you don't like something? You know?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I don't get it. Like, it's one thing if like you are in love with something, like League of Legends, like Brad was talking about earlier, and then they change something that you don't like as a fan of their game. That's a little bit different, right? Because that's constructive criticism if you present it as such, right?
Yeah.
But like a new project that's just been revealed for the first time ever, just to be like, that looks like shit. What?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who cares? You know, like, and first of all, you don't even know if the game itself isn't fun. There's plenty of games that look kind of like hot garbage, but when people play them, they love it.
Yeah.
You know, like Octodad or Goat Simulator.
Oh,
Right?
there's a new one for like the same people who made Octodad.
Yeah. Like, so people are they just can't wait to tell how much they don't like something, and that's why, like, even with my art, like, I focus on people who like what I do, not people who don't like what I do, and then because I make my art for the people who like what I do, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's my opinion on games. Like, if I see a game that I like, then I get it. You know?
Yeah.
If I see a movie I like, I watch it. I like a lot of movies that a lot of my friends hate. And I hate a lot of movies that my friends love. Like, a lot of my friends love Lord of the Rings. I think Lord of the Rings is hot garbage. I fall asleep every time I watch that movie. And I also don't like Harry Potter. I feel like that's also incredibly boring. This kid's been going to school for like how long? And he only knows like 3 spells, dude. And
man.
like, who keeps sending their kids to a school that they have literally terrorist attacks every year? Every year,
I feel like you
kids
would
are getting murdered, dude. It'll be
feel
like Sandy Hook every fucking year. And it's just like, well, what can you do, man? People be shooting children. It's like, no, dude. Like, we need some real wizard reform, and we need to like stop sending your kids to school. The school needs to be looked at.
I feel like you would really like Honest Trailers because they bring up that shit constantly.
Yeah, but I don't post any of my opinions. I just tell my friends, and I just like talk in this context. We just have a good laugh because my opinion still doesn't matter. You know, Harry Potter is a multi-billion-dollar movie franchise. You know, what do I know? I'm not the audience. You know, it's just how it is. I don't feel the need to go rant about it online. You know, put a YouTube channel where that's all I do is just rant. It's fun to watch, like people who are really good at it. But even then, you know, I used to follow some YouTube news channels, and all they did was like talk crap on the industry, like every video there's, and I'm just like, they don't talk about anything positive, and then they get a lot of fans and subscribers for doing just that, so they keep doing it.
Yeah,
because that's how they gain their audience. It goes back to the thing about like, know who your audience is. You got a bunch of, you know, tryhards that hate everything. As soon as you start saying, you know, let's start talking about cool stuff and what I like, they'll be like, oh, this is not nearly as interesting.
Yeah.
Which is very sad, by the way. I don't think that's how it should be.
Because this morning, like I was looking at Twitter, and the top thing that I've been seeing was I guess the artist Sakimi-chan had like liked some pro police like comments or something like that, and I noticed that a lot of the artists, like actual professionals who were like criticizing her, were talking about how bad her art is.
That's like, objectively wrong, though. Her art is really good. You might not like that it's super sexualized, but it's like, it's not easy to paint like her.
Yeah, but I was like, what does that have to do with her? Like, I get it. You're like,
you disagree with her
disagree, but what does her art have to do with all of this?
What is that called? Ad hominem attack? Like attacking people's character, not their actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way to convert people. You know that? You attack them personally.
Mm.
Yeah, I do it
that's
all the
true.
time. I just tell people that they're shitheads, and they start listening to me. It's a great strategy. Highly recommend it. I actually converted 2 people who were pro-police to stop being pro-police
Oh wow.
and starting to second guess their argument by just talking to them as compassionate human. You know, like I listened to what they said and what they were saying, and I saw what they said, and I agreed with some of what they were saying, but I demonstrated to them how they themselves are being duped into their own position. You know, it's like it's hard to dispute that this was murder. You know,
Yeah.
like let's go with because it was like, oh, he's a criminal record. And I was like, okay, but let's go with the worst case scenario. Let's say he even fought the cop. Do you think fighting a cop should be punishable by death? You know, and I don't mean like shooting at a cop. I mean like fighting him. Like there's 4
That's
cops there, and he's just swinging. He's just throwing punches. You know,
Yeah.
murder. Or do you think the cops should be able to subdue that? Put him down, pin him down, even really rough and aggressively, and take him to jail. And the guy just served his time. It was like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. It's like, yeah, like do you have to double check yourself if you're trying to rationalize murder, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And as I look, and I even sympathize with the cops. Like cops shouldn't be dealing with every single circumstances ever thrown at them, right? They're not therapists. They're not. Oh, little baby. Night night. Get out of here.
I love you. I love you.
No, all right. You know, like it's like, look, there's a reason why that cop is violent. You know,
Yeah.
like I also think that it's unfair to look at the cop who murdered him as not a human too, right? He should get punished. Let's not be confusing the fact. But there's a reason why he's like that too. And the same reason why that person is that way, and the same reason why this other person had to do criminal acts could be solved in the same way, you know?
Yeah.
Ultimately. And he was just like, okay, right? And I was bringing up the fact, like, when you take an abusive husband that beats the shit out of his wife away from that family, what happens to that family? Especially if he's the breadwinner, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's not as simple as, oh, bad guy, put him in jail. Like it's incredibly complex. You know, cops can't then just fix a broken home. You know,
Yeah.
they just took this guy out, but they don't fix a broken home. Like that's the way I explained this stuff to these people, and they agreed. You know, they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. You know, but the reason why they got so pushed into that corner, and this is true on the opposite end too, is people call these people racists. Like out of the gate. Like it doesn't work, even if they are racists. You know what I mean? It's like if you have a friend who's incredibly overweight, right? You said, but dude, you're really fucking fat. Like you need to lose some weight. That's not a compelling argument. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you're right. They're overweight. Calling them fat is accurate, but it's insensitive and people don't react to that well. Right?
Yeah.
Especially if they don't believe it. You know, racism is one of those things. Like if they don't really believe it, then they like double down. And again, that could be even if it's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the same with what's going on there. Like people like, oh, Takimi-chan, pro police. So she's clearly a terrible person. It's like, what? That is not at all how it works, man. You know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel this just go this way like too fast. And my advice to you guys, if you ever in any kind of situation like this, I always say fire only makes fire bigger, right? You put out fires with water. That's how you put fires out, not with more fire.
Yeah.
And people forget that, and they're like, fight fire with fire. I was like, that makes more fire, dude.
Yep.
You know? Oh man, like there's the Trump was gonna have his rally in Tulsa, I forget the state, Oklahoma, which was the same place that got like frickin' bombed by like the KKK.
Yeah. Yeah.
And on the 19th of June, which is also the day that slavery was abolished, I believe. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know? Like, and I don't think he knew any of this, to be honest. Because he backed out of the date now. He moved the date. Because I think he realized, uh-oh. You know?
Yeah.
At first, honestly, I thought he did it on purpose. I was like, oh, dude, is he trying to like make
Piss
sure
people off.
people like riot so you could be like, see, people are nuts, you know?
Yeah.
Or
He just doesn't know.
is he just an idiot? And I was like, I think he's an idiot. And he is, because once he realized that, I think he realized that there might be riots and he might actually be in danger.
Yeah.
You know, people are real pissed, dude. And so he's a coward. You know what I mean? Like, even if he had strong racial convictions, he's a coward. He wouldn't stand up for his rights, or he wouldn't stand up for the what he believes in if he knew his life had, if he would just like even get his hair messed up. But anyway, I'm not gonna go on a rant about that. I'm just saying, like, that's incredibly insensitive to the situation, you know. And I think with all that kind of stuff, the same way I feel about video game critiques, I just don't care. Movie critiques, I don't care when people talk negatively about stuff. If it's just people's opinions, you know.
Okay.
If it's like something that their opinion may have some strong ramifications on others, then yeah, I'll probably care a little bit more, because it's a little bit less of just like, oh, I don't like Harry Potter, you know, versus like, oh, I think this person deserved to die. That's a little bit of a different, you know,
Yeah.
situation. So that's usually how I feel about this stuff moving forward. If you've been looking now, so you say, oh, dude, this stuff's going on, like on this new movie. Like you just can just default to, oh, probably Adrian doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, I watch movies and I really hated them after watching them. I don't post it.
Mhm.
And there's movies that I really love. I don't post it unless I really, really love it. Then I'll post. I'm like, this movie, can't believe it. Like a good example, I think, was Spider-Verse. I think after that movie, I felt like I had to voice it to the world. Like, people need to watch this film. Anyway. Any other questions or thoughts, y'all?
I think I have a question. I do have a question, rather. So I see a lot of artists, a lot of concept artists, like whether I'm perusing through ArtStation, and a lot of their pieces, I guess we'll say it's rendered, still has line work in it. And I wanted to know your thoughts on those pieces that are complete or that you see in their portfolio that still has some lines in it. And then some of the lines are dark and they look like they're a part of the piece, but then there's parts that don't. Like, do you think it's appropriate to keep those lines, or do you think it's more of a stylistic choice? Or
It's stylistic. It doesn't
Okay.
make any difference. All that matters is clarity.
Okay.
But if I'm looking at a design, does someone else know what I'm trying to get at?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really just stylistic. Clarity is all that matters. Again, you got to remember, like, if a modeler was to take a look at your design, would they be able to like do something? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if they can't, then you fucked up, dude.
It's good to know.
You got to be able to build something from what, like, that's the value you bring, is that you can demonstrate some sort of clarity of an image.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. So even if it is stylistic, um, it's still okay to have like part of like say like there's lines still on the contour of the chin, but there isn't lines on like near the eye or
Yeah. So whenever I talk about refinement too, like I always just talk about it in the sense of like super rendered, but it also could just be just like a good quality image. It doesn't mean fully rendered all the time. So like if you look at some of the examples and just actually thought about it, you're like, oh yeah, this is not just like a half-assed drawing, right? This is probably really well executed. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's all that matters to me is really the execution, not so much the oh, did they finalize it or did they added what you call it, like that super polished stuff that AJ likes to see. I just think that it's smart to do polished work specifically because when you do more polished work, you allow yourself to be more evolved artist. Does it make sense?
It does, yeah.
Because when you do like kind of loose artwork, you might not be nearly as skilled as it appears. And so let's say you work for a studio and then they ask you to render at a higher quality that you've never done before. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you're going to be kind of trapped. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so having a higher ability is kind of a save, is what I'm getting at, right? Like it gives you an opportunity to just generally be good.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when you're asked to do more stylized, you can do that easier, when you're asked to do more fully rendered, again, it's probably not going to be nearly as much of a challenge versus if you have like no skill at all at rendering, which is the point I'm making.
So just to follow up then to that, unless anyone else has any questions, I don't know if anyone does.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if, let's say someone is put into that situation, are they automatically fired or is it
automatically? No. You'll just have a hard time, right? And then
Okay.
and then if you can't do it, most times they'll be all right with it, but you'll just demonstrate that you just can't do that thing. And if you are hired under the wrong pretenses that they thought you were potentially able to do it, and then as time reveals itself that you just can't, you may very well be fired. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's like you want to have that ability too. Like, trust me, you want to be good. And it's like a really, really great feeling to be able to kind of do all sorts of stuff within your genre. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. This is looking great, by the way. So cool.
Cheers. Yeah, I think after watching a lot of the stuff too, one thing that I will say is that like realism is not going to be cool. It's like everybody will be able to do it. Like even indie studios, like ironically, it'll be the easiest thing to do. You're going to see more and more realistic looking indie games.
It's true.
And I think it's just because it's just so much easier to do now. So I'm like, all right, I need to like start mixing it up, dude.
I think especially from what we saw with the whole PS5 show.
Yeah.
It's a good example of that.
And the games that stood out the most were the ones that had a little bit more flavor to them.
Definitely.
Not just that they looked good realistically or anything, but they have like flavor. And I was talking to some of my coworkers as we were grinding because we had like a Discord and we were just talking some shit. And we that was part of it. Like I was just like, there's something about making a fun game, like a game that is fun. You know, like fun to make. I mean, like it's just silly ideas all the time.
Yeah, one of the ones that stood out, like that I noticed a lot of people were gravitating towards on the when the announcement came out on the PS5 was Little Devil Inside. It's like the visuals were very different compared to like the other games. I think it's like produced by an indie studio too.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of stuff that it's gonna do really well. So anyway. Yeah, I had a great idea for a game like just fucking epic jousting. Just like miles away. And you're going like you're going like hundreds of miles an hour and you're just like in these like cool ass jousting suits.
Oh hell yeah.
And just jousting each other.
Put that on VR.
That's how I was hearing the music in my head. Anyway. Just like how fun would it be just to joust? Anyway. Any last questions about the roll out of here?
One question. Why do you draw so many robots? Like, what about them makes you like them?
I like robots because you can do all sorts of things with them. You can make them very stylized, like I'm doing here, and it can be cool, you know? And you can render them and then also make them still feel stylized by the shapes that you're making the robots. Because robots can be amorphous. Does that make sense? Like you don't have to stick to like human anatomy. You can make it really bonkers. The same thing with monsters. So you can render them more realistic or you can render them stylized. It doesn't really matter, right? They're amorphous. So I can focus more my attention on design and shapes and patterns and less about functionality and reality, right? Like you can get away with it and people will believe it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if you look at this like twerking robot, right? And then if you look at like this, like, you know, this could be a helmet, I guess. Maybe not. I don't know. There's no space for a head in there. But that's kind of the point. Like it doesn't have to be. It could be a robot. You know? Where and again you can stylize. So this one is like this doesn't have a spine, you know? You can go in any which way. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but I thought you were gonna say I like drawing robots because I am a robot.
I mean, it's in my name, dude. Robotpencil, right? But like monsters and robots, you can just get away with it. As soon as you start drawing like a humanoid character, you got to be a little bit more cautious, you know. But with robots, you could go cool, you know, go real cool. Monsters too, you know. And like I said, you can dip them into reality. Like they can look realistic. You can make them, design them realistically, you know. Make them feel like they could actually exist, like the way you paint them and light them, you know. But I can also just make like Dinobots.
Oh, it's so
That's
cute.
super cute.
What the heck? I haven't seen that one.
Oh, they have a lot, man. Just go back through. You'll find a bunch of just weird shit that I've drawn. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Hey, look at this. The hell? Only bubblegum mouth.
I actually have two quick questions, if that's possible.
Like, look at this to have some references. See what I'm saying? Like, there's so much more opportunity to just fuck around, you know? But you got to be careful because it's also you start dipping into abstract land. So you have to hold on to something. Something has to kind of like bring the viewer back, subject matter wise. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of just like product design on top of product design. You know, like this has some strength to it because it's like it's like a human head, but like like some sort of iron or something. You know?
Yeah.
So there's something there. I had some reference I just got recently too. Like something like this is pretty dope. But like, you know, car designs are always helpful because people are used to seeing like those types of things. But anyway, what were your questions? I'm gonna go.
So 2 questions really quick. So I'm part of the ArtStation Learning, and
Awesome.
I noticed that you had a course that you were in the midst of making. How is like, are you close to having that done, or is it?
Oh no, it's not gonna happen at all. Decided not to do it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. That
Disappointing.
that would make sense then because I didn't see it on there.
You get access to the tutorials on the Robotpencil thing, right?
Yeah. In fact, what I'm probably going to be doing is I'm going to probably downsize a lot of this stuff because after this whole like George Floyd stuff, I'm thinking I'm just going to probably do more free education, just because I feel like it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Like help people who just can't afford even a few dollars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's already a lot of great tutorials that I have, and I'll leave those available to those who've you know supported me in the past. And I'll probably still do mentorships, but it might be good for me to kind of Bob Ross it a bit and just start putting out fucking quick painting tutorials, like 10-minute ones.
Yeah.
And just start populating the internet with those types of stuff, just helping people out.
Mm-hmm.
Do my part, dude. I speak a lot about how to help communities, and I can do it. I'm part of the solution. But I'm not sure when and how, but I plan on doing it.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Cool. I feel like I know your answer for this. It would bug me if I didn't
Wrong.
ask.
You don't know me.
But so, when it comes to portfolio stuff and finding a job, should I just be like sort of, for lack of a better word, like aggressively like applying, or should I just be banking on like publicity due to my posts?
You could do both.
Okay.
Like I was talking to Keith about, like, do all the things. Why does it have to be one or the other? You know, you could, or you can apply, and then you don't have to, or you can just focus on posting, and then you can apply and post and apply. You can do whatever. Just kind of like just do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's less about doing the thing. It's more about doing the things.
Yeah.
Like if I was in your guys' position, I would do nothing different than what I've already done. I'd probably just do it more because it's so much easier to do it more. Like if I was a student, didn't have a wife and kids, just on my own, I'd be posting like every day still. Like nothing would have changed my approach.
Yeah.
The only thing that has changed is the tools in which you can do it now.
Oh, I guess that sort of breeds another question. I remember you said for Haith, he should be aiming for like 1 or 2 illustrations a month. For someone who's like,
well, I said once a month, and then maybe eventually a couple, just to be clear.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 3 in like a week.
Let's go.
Oh my
That'd be
God.
awesome. That'd be a huge change if you pull that off. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No worries, no worries. How does that relate for like concept art and sort of what's the approach I should take or what should I aim for?
So the only difference is just the content then. It's not a matter of like the approach is not different. If you want to be an illustrator, got to have quality of work, quantity of work. If you want to be a concept artist, you have to have quality work, quantity of work. If you want to be a 3D artist, quality work, quantity of work, right? And on top of all that, you got to share it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing changes. Let's even go into something like more like selling art prints. You got to make a lot of work, quality work, and make it that so people want to buy it. That's it.
Yeah.
The same things are true. Let me see if I can find one of my good favorite artists. So Miles Johnson. Quality work, quantity. Quantity. Okay. If you're into surreal modern art, he makes originals and sells the prints. You understand me?
Yeah.
And I remember when he first started, he was getting like 4,000 or 5,000 likes on his stuff. He's getting like 57,000.
Oh my God.
Because it's good and he posts often, man. Posts a lot 2 days ago. Let's see this one. 6 days ago.
Jesus.
May 30th. This is like 2 weeks ago, maybe, according to the comments. He posts, bros. You'll start to recognize this once you actually observe it. It's not a mystery. Yeah. Okay. Quantity, quality. And he is not a concept artist. And he's not even like an illustrator in the sense that he's illustrating for video games or movies. He's his own artist. He sells his own artwork. But nothing changes, the content and then the way you sell it, right? Yeah. So what I sell is my time and my skill, right? My ability to design and my ability to teach. Yeah. He sells his artwork. You understand?
Yeah.
It looks like he teaches it too. Tight.
Hey, Anthony. I was just wondering if you had any of your work from working at Blizzard.
Yeah, it's on my ArtStation.
Oh, really? I couldn't find it.
Because you're not looking, dude.
I was looking. It's just so much.
You just got to keep looking. Think it's that easy, dude?
Tried.
Portfolio. I didn't put a lot of them, but the StarCraft stuff.
Oh, the StarCraft stuff. Gotcha.
You just ignored the StarCraft stuff, I see.
No.
What does Blizzard work at? And I did like some more. I did some other stuff, but some of the most notable stuff was the StarCraft stuff.
Gotcha.
And then I have. Oh wait, what am I doing? I have also posted this one. This is like the first month of work that I did there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Was this? Anyway.
Anyways, thank you. I couldn't find it.
Look, dude.
I was looking.
Oh.
You did not. I just proved to you. I believe you, but you just didn't look hard enough. Anyway, gonna go, guys. It's been an honor to teach you guys. I've been very happy with all you guys' progress. Keep in touch. Don't be strangers. And with all that being said, keep pushing. Keep accelerating your work. And then I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Cheers.
All right.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you so much, Anthony.
Absolutely.
Nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, nice
Cheers.
to meet you.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to watch more in the future. If you liked the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you like this content, you can go to my website, robotpencil.net, where you can find mentorships, tutorials, and a Patreon to get more exclusive content. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next videos.